This episode of Esplanade Explainers is brought to you by official Paulie Walnuts Scrub Off My Tires shirt featuring
Well, leave that. Don't touch that. My program's coming on. John, love you, babe. Don't let me rot now.
So, who is Paulie Gualtieri and where does he come from? Paulie came from an adopted mother, and his father was some soldier in the war. His adopted mother is the best thing that ever happened to him. Has a brother who's a doctor, and he's an ignorant American. Spent a few years in the army, a few more in the can, and here he is, a half a wise guy. So what? What else? He spent a few years with Johnny Sopranos' crew, survived the Colombo Wars in the 70s, has an ambiguous rank in Tony's crew, but doesn't really seem to mind. Paulie believes that his time spent and his age earn him a fundamental respect. Paulie is kind of the epitome of the divide between the modern generation's flexibility and the old guard's principles and rules, which, truthfully, he doesn't live up to at all. That's one of the big messages of The Sopranos. Everybody seems to look at the past with rose-colored glasses. But Paulie blinked, and the organization sort of passed him by. He has a great belief in ritual, figures, and being a fucking kiss-ass.
It's like Sun Tzu says. A good commander is benevolent and unconcerned with fame. What? Sun Tzu, the Chinese Prince Machiavelli. Tony turned me on to Zhu. Sun Tzu, you fucking ass kid.
I wouldn't call Paulie loyal at all, really. Especially by the end of the show. He's a sycophant for whoever holds more power than him in that current situation. He's kind of a hoe. He's in bed with Tony until Tony stops treating him well. Due to Chrissy benefiting greatly from nepotism, then he hops in bed with John, starts talking too much. This resentment doesn't get better as Tony focuses on Ralphie, as he's a modern, sociopathic, shameless, violent machine that does one thing, and that's earn. Paulie loathes a character like Ralph and what he represents. The new, dynamic, and lacking in reverence for the elderly soldiers of the future, who don't respect old arrangements, and don't care who came before.
Yeah. You're late. Well, tomorrow I can be on time. But you'll be stupid forever. Hey, sit down.
Ralph knows this, and uses it to amuse himself by pushing on that button in Paulie, because he knows Tony, in the modern administration of the mob, is oriented around the opportunistic whims at the top, and will be favorable to those like Ralph, whose one talent is making money. This puts him ahead in spite of how unlikable he is, and how much he thumbs his nose at authority. Paulie, a diametric opposite to Ralph, falls behind, because he expects his existing relationships and time spent to be credit or having paid his dues. But to Tony, it matters too little. As Ralph's crew from the very start is earning big, I think he said $3 million a year, and as a result, gets favorable treatment in sit-downs and disputes. Not only does Tony rely on him, but Carmine does as well. Paulie isn't respected, and gets his sadistic thrills and scores where he can to compensate for how powerless he's become in an organization he anticipated becoming untouchable in. Instead, he's forced to take shit from Ralph, feels distant from and neglected by Tony, used and manipulated by Johnny Sack. I mean, how much more betrayal can he take? Paulie has his fair share of grievances and a great deal of resentment towards this dynamic, and will air out his business to anyone who will listen to and validate him. This makes him juicy prey to Johnny Sack's Machiavellian tactics, which deserve their own character study in their own right. Paulie's big mouth gets him in a lot of trouble in this series, although perhaps not as much as he deserves. Because he feels like he isn't treated with the most respect, he hurts Tony's wallet by airing out Ralph's joke about John, and Tony's subconscious picks up on this from the start. Also, I will mention that I think Paulie made the most jokes about Ginny Sack in the entire series.
I told Gabriella she needed a bigger house.
Jenny Sacramone. What she needs is her own zip code. You grab onto Jenny Sacramone, your fucking hands will disappear. She's so fat she goes camping, the bears have to hide their food.
Oh, rim shot!
Paulie's talking out of school nearly gets him killed later in the series, as Tony starts to show his scales when his new outlook on life of Season 6A wears off. In addition, it hurt Tony's wallet when he let it slip that Zellman and him were working together on a project in Morristown. That led to Carmine taking a piece in order to make sure the books lined up, as Carmine always does. In addition, the way that Paulie treats Chris, and anyone who gets in his way or who's less powerful than he is quite reminiscent of Tom Wamsgans from Succession, where he's a kiss-ass to anyone above him and an abuser to anyone below him. He's quite spineless and slippery, like a snake. Paulie also has more endearing traits, which make him incredibly fun and humorous to watch, but he's a simple man running a simple script that's kept him alive. He's also betrayed the family and positioned himself to take over if Tony were to die at the hands of the Lupertazis. He has no arc, other than having his silly disposition tested by others around him, and being put in situations that make him look like an asshole, a monster, or, worst of all, a joke. This makes me think of Paulie's dream where he speaks to Pussy, anticipating his own death for his talking out of school, or if he'll stand up when he's put in front of a firing squad. Tony has the opportunity to kill him himself, but for some reason doesn't take it. This is one of the scariest scenes to me in that Tony seems completely soulless and resembles a Hitchcock villain a little bit. One of the more interesting things about Paulie is the level at which he really does convince himself of the narratives regarding respect and reverence for those in power. That fucking horse painting said a lot to me, as this isn't Paulie just being a kiss-ass to appear subservient and advance his goals, but this is a soldier who was there when Tony had his first kill, that he now serves as an underboss. At least, I believe that's what he's considered. Frankly, he really respects Tony, and the only reasons why he gets upset with him are when his affection isn't returned, like he's treated like the ugly girl at the dance in prison, or when he's ruled against in that Morristown bullshit. He's lonely. Tony doesn't come see him anymore. In that scene where all of the capos are gambling together and Tony makes a bad joke he heard before, the room is howling with laughter to please him. And who's on that list? The most vulture-like ones in the whole Jersey family. Paulie and Vito. When Tony is in his coma, and Paulie and Vito are fighting over how much each of them should be making from the score, Carmela picks up on the fact that the two of them are just snakes in the grass, who are just as ready to short Tony and Carmela when it suited them, especially in case he died, just like Angie Bompancero. Not to say she wasn't fibbing a bit on how down on her luck she was, but other than Tony, I didn't see anyone else helping her out. The only reason they helped Carmela out at all was fear for retaliation from Tony if they misbehaved while he was in the hospital, and this shot just says it all. On a lighter note, Paulie has some really great quirks and endearing traits that make him comedic relief as well as more sympathetic than he probably deserves. His germophobia, manicured appearance, satin-finished nails, doting mother, doctor brother, and his history in therapy make for a character that in some ways pushes some boundaries of traditional masculinity even for the 2000s. Seeing a wise guy get his nails done and then still lose his mind when a friend of his comes out of the closet would normally make you think he was in the closet and projecting like someone we know. But frankly, he seems so comfortable in his sexuality to the point where my limited gaydar doesn't even go off. He can enjoy the attention though, so I guess that counts for something.
Guy asked me to model for the boxing poster. He was here for but I was flattered just the same.
He also asks more guys to undress in the show than anyone else on the cast, but nobody even thinks twice about it.
Take them off. Everything. I said everything.
Go fuck yourself.
Take your clothes off. What? Want me to turn around?
Paulie, I appreciate it.
Take your clothes off. Take your clothes off. Why don't you want to take your clothes off?
I do think Paulie had something to do with the death of Tony Soprano. He was conveniently out of office when Bobby, Silvio, and Patsy get attacked. And he wasn't seen again for the rest of the show. I don't know what kind of deal he might have secured, but he's not a very subtle character, and this looks like guilt to me. He also is no stranger to talking about deals with New York in case Tony gets killed. Despite loving him, he's perfectly comfortable going behind his back in favor of which way the wind seems to be blowing. I wonder if this same shrewdness and self-interest might have led to him securing some kind of deal for his life during the Colombo Wars. Given I don't have proof of any of this, but him turning down Tony's deal to be captain of Ralphie's crew, mind you, which was going to make him a lot of money, and taking some time to mull it, is super suspicious. I think part of his strategy was to avoid taking on more responsibility than he thought he could handle. By staying ambiguous in terms of rank, whilst tolerating not being put in direct leadership positions, he also, like Tony did for a while, avoided being a lightning rod for FBI strikes at the top. He also never pays his whole cut up to Tony, which is a price Tony is willing to pay to keep a happy shop. Tony grew up with Paulie, loves him, perhaps even more than he loved Pussy, but also knows he's not trustworthy, talks out of school, and while he respects Tony on a superficial level, he also disobeys him and is a big liability to their organization. I also wonder about that moment in Funhouse, and why in Tony's dream he kills him, especially that early in the show. Fast forward to season 6, then, almost out of nowhere, Tony sizes up a situation and sees an opportunity where he can kill Paulie, but yet again, he doesn't take the opportunity. Who knows? Maybe that was Tony's last chance to make it out of this series alive. Well, that'll be everything from me. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet, and hit the bell for notifications. And in addition, please check out our Shopify or Etsy platforms to check out the Scrub Off My Tires shirt for Paulie's episode. I'm so proud of Plant Bunny doing such an amazing job making that beautiful. And it's stuff like this that makes it possible to keep this channel up. And I'm sorry I've been gone for a while. It took me kind of a while to get a handle on how I really wanted to do this script and this video, but I feel like it really paid off in the end. You can let me know what you guys think in the comments. Also, join us on our Discord. We have about, I think it's 30 folks on there, and we just talk about Sopranos shit and other shows that we like. So yeah, if you're interested in that, the link is also in the description. Thank you all so much for watching. This is Esplanade Explainers, signing out.